All right, this is week 17 of the third level of the five levels of leadership. Just kidding.
And originally there was a plan that we were going to be done by Easter, but you know what? It's not going to happen.
Sometimes.
Because I think we should even just say right now that I'm suggesting that we do not have book club on Easter weekend on the
I think
Saturday.
that's a great idea. That would be next weekend.
So that would be next Saturday.
FYI.
So our next gathering for book club would be the Saturday after Easter weekend.
Yes. I think
And we're still on the 5 levels.
And then we should be on level 4.
Yes. I think we're going to get into level 4 today. I really do.
Oh, heavens. Thank you guys so much for being patient with us. But, level 3 is just so great. And this is the beauty of doing book club the way we're doing book club, because we can pause where we want to pause and we can keep going where we want to keep going. And trust us, we are thinking about the next book to do already. So yeah, we're excited. We don't anticipate level 4 and 5 taking as long as level 2 and 3, but that's okay. That's okay. So we're picking up on what page, Sherry?
So I have us picking up on page 166, actually, just sort of at the end of never lose sight of the fact that results are your goal, which was page 164. And page 166 is the laws of leadership at the production level. And I read through these laws during this past week and thought about them. These are all laws that I work on. They are not laws that come easy to me. They're not laws that are naturals. They're all laws to study. So I realized that for me to be a level 3 leader with the confidence of a level 3 leader, I really do need to go back and dig more into these laws.
Yeah. So
the first one was the law of respect.
Yeah.
The second one was the law of magnetism. The third was the law of the picture.
I feel like, do we talk about the law of the picture on Tuesday? A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, but not so much in that same, but I feel like we covered the concept. Hi, Amy.
Yeah. Amy?
Can everyone hear me when I
Yes.
talk?
I need you to do the ooh first.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Sorry, mic on my computer, entertaining. So reading these particular laws, I am in the process of finishing the introduction of Take the Stairs by Rory Vanden, which is the Plexus book study this month. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes, and it's supposed to be on Easter Saturday is the last date I've seen for it.
I don't know.
So I'm like just finishing up that introduction, and it literally talks about the law of buy-in, the law of sacrifice, the law of magnetism. And I think there was 2 more, but my brain might have exploded on, wait a second, what book am I listening to? And didn't I just read that, listen to that somewhere else? That's how connected these 2 are this month.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That is awesome. All right. So yeah, and then if you want to connect it further, then we're doing, the 5, the power of 5 for network marketers, which also is obviously feeding into all of this as well. So it's the circle of leadership. It's not the circle of life, it's the circle of leadership.
There's a lot of picture part that really for me keeps digging me in the side is that people do what they see, but that you have to be visible and you have to let people see what you're doing. And that's where I think I find the most challenge is how to show what I'm doing when what I'm doing is in bits and pieces everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
in a truck, in a parking lot, and so it's just a really interesting process of being visible to your people, by helping them understand that they don't need to be all those same places and it doesn't need to look the same.
Yeah, I think that there's a fine line, and we talked about that. And this is where I go, did we talk about, Sherry, did we talk about that on Monday? Did we talk about that on, when did we talk about that? Did we talk about that? As your leadership grows, there will be things that you don't necessarily want everybody to see that you're doing at a silver level, because they'll be like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend that much time on my business. Well, that's okay. You're a silver. You have not necessarily decided that your full passion in this life is helping people to poop. Like, we totally accept that, right? But I think that actually Instagram stories are a beautiful thing for this, because we don't necessarily have to story every single thing of the day, but one time when you're sitting in the truck here working or reading or whatever, there's a snapshot, there's a snapshot, there's a snapshot, right? Like, we can temper it for our people and kind of funnel the right nuggets in. But yeah, I mean, I would be fascinated to know every movement that you make every day. That would make me very interested. But you know, we get to pick and choose, right? And Chelsea's going to say something because she's been doing lots of digging in about storying and branding. Right?
You want me to say something right now?
Sure.
No, you just looked like you were going to.
Oh, I guess I got excited. You started talking about stories, and I was like, it's so important. Like, stories are so, like, stories take, you know, time at first when you're first starting to learn how to use it in an effective way. But it's something that is easier to grow the more you do it, because, you know, if we're talking about a feed post, it can, with how the algorithm works, there's a lot more posts happening than we can even see, right? And so you kind of put a post out there hoping someone will see it, take the time to read it, maybe. But a story is super quick, super easy. Even if someone views it for only like 15 seconds, you know, that is, or even if anyways, whatever. But it's an easy way to connect with people in a really imperfect way. I don't have to have everything. For me, it takes a lot longer to think about what to post, how to do for the caption, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot more thinking and time. And so sometimes I'll often avoid posting because I'm like, oh my gosh, it takes time and inspiration, which I don't feel like I have. But stories are so much quicker for me, because it's like, oh, my kid is doing something really cute that we've been working on for a while, or I just finished washing my dishes. Like, I'm not going to post that on my feed. I just finished washing the dishes. Like, nobody cares. But if it's in my stories, people are like, oh, she washes her dishes. I don't know why all of a sudden magically it matters in my stories, but not on my feed, right? But it's just different places. I'm showing my day in the stories, and that builds a lot of trust and connection. And people are like, oh man, she does dishes too. Crazy.
Mhm.
It's really weird. I have
Or
people
hey,
sending me-
oh,
I
she got her
literally
dishes.
have
Or like saying like, oh, she just got her dishes done. I have to go do that. Okay,
Well,
Chelsea can do it with 2 babies.
yeah.
I'm gonna go and do my dishes.
But I have literally had people send me pictures in my personal messages of them finishing their dishes.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
Jenga, they're like, look at the Jenga. Did I beat you this time? I'm like, why do you care about my Jenga? Like, my dishes Jenga? Like, why do you care? But they do. And
Yep.
then I can build connections with people. It's such an easy way to build connection because it
I
goes
so get
directly to your inbox.
Yeah, I so get it. I so get it. And here's the other piece to this, like people do what people see. I don't know. I don't think that people make fun of it quite as much now, but when Instagram was sort of coming, like maybe 2 years ago, 4 years ago, and people would take pictures of everything they were eating, and then people would slam them because they were taking pictures of their food or, you know, whatever. Okay, hi, we work in a health and wellness business. It actually is on point to be taking pictures of what we're eating and showing people a healthy lifestyle, right? Like if that's your brand, if your brand is, I can do whatever I want and I'm going to still eat like McDonald's and I'm still going to look great and lose weight and be plexus and still eat McDonald's, that's cool. I think that's kind of off brand, but like if we are showing people the healthy lifestyle, they're going to want to come under you if they're interested in a healthy lifestyle as well. So this is, and maybe this is not an epiphany for you guys, but for me, it was a little bit of an epiphany where I was like, my focus has always been to talk to people who I would want to come into my business and who would see me as a leader and, you know, whatever. And so that was my focus on stories. But we want to be 360-degree leaders. We don't just want to be leading the people that like come in, right? So if I can be a positive, if I can be positive in somebody else's journey who's already on Plexus, who's not on my team, who follows my stories because of how I'm structuring my day, how I'm living my life, how I'm talking Plexus, then I want that. I want to affect, like, there's no cap on who can be, on who can be inspired by the stories. So if we really widen our gaze and go, you know what, maybe this piece now is not going to speak to somebody who wants to do my business as much as it will speak to somebody who's currently doing the business, that's okay. I want to do that too. And when we lead other people, it just gives us practice in leading the people that are going to show up on your doorstep. So, yeah. The other one that I kind of, do you guys ever struggle with, can you remember when he was talking about, oh shoot, where's Doris when we need her? I pulled up our silver chat the other day and I was like, hey, look, okay, what was it that he said? Dingalings, when he was talking about the dingalings, right? Okay. Has anyone ever felt like they have dingalings on their team? Has anyone, like, you don't need to put your hand up, but has anybody ever thought, man, because I've heard it before, if I could just sponsor somebody like me, it would be so great. Because if everyone would have the work ethic that I do and the passion that I do and the focus that I do, and like, we need to get these people started right and whatever, but you don't seem to be bringing them on. And then you look at the law of magnetism, who you are is who you attract. And you just go, ow, ow. Well, okay, maybe. What is happening here? Maybe you're attracting the dinglings. That was such a great illustration by John on Tuesday night in the five whatevers of network marketing. I can still not.
I think that's a really interesting one, and I think you could dig into it in lots of different ways. But I think sometimes people want to work with somebody that they're similar to. And so in leadership, when we know we don't do all of the 21 laws well, we're often looking for somebody that, yes, has some commonality, but has some other skills, has some other attributes. And so I think that's really interesting when we think about teamwork and working with people. As a team member, that piece of, well, I want to work with my friend because I know that we do the same things and we do everything together, but we don't actually get the job done because we actually need this other person who fills in, like Amy said, those areas of weakness and makes everything rise up.
Totally.
So that makes me think about the reference to the dingling, which, interestingly enough, whether it's because they're like us or whether it's because they're not like us, and we as the leader role are struggling with finding that communication connection and being able to appreciate and recognize their strengths because they don't match our strengths.
The other, oh, sorry, Amy, what were you gonna say? Please, ooh, thank you.
I was oohing for the baby fingers.
Oh,
I know that was totally crazy, but it was like, oh, I did a pinky.
Yeah, for those
I'm
who
so
missed
sorry.
it, Adelaide is breastfeeding and stuck her hand up the bottom of my shirt all the way up through the top and was tickling my neck.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's
Hey,
so cool.
have you guys ever gotten really frustrated with one of your children on something, and then you realize that the thing that you're frustrated about them with is because it's one of your attributes that like really irks you about yourself? And you're like, yeah, like, why? Right? And that seems to be on those things is where you butt heads and clash the most, right? So it
Yeah.
could just be the dingleberry thread, right? Like that may be the piece that you attracted in that person, right? And they might have other strengths and attributes, but just realize that you might be attracting people with like, yeah, oh, hey, she's kind of like me, but she can still be successful. That's great. And then they'll drive you around the bend because the thing that you have in common is a piece that you're trying to like grow out of yourself. Dag nabbit. Anyway.
Well, apparently we could spend a long time
Apparently.
referencing this area,
Mhm.
but I would really like to move toward the beliefs that
Yes.
help a leader move up to level 4, because I
Yes.
really think it's about that thinking piece. And I was listening to our upline diamonds this morning talking about level 4 leadership, and some of their comments were that they are not as good at trainers or at teachers of new people as their golds and rubies are. And why is that? It's because they now think differently. And so they're having a really hard time making that connection to a new person. So your skills at that level, our skills at that level mean that we have the influence, we have the stories, we have the ability to do a fantastic job of connecting and supporting people as they're coming in, and believing that and knowing that, and not saying, oh, well, my upline knows it all. Yeah, no. No.
No, and it is totally true. Like, and honestly, try as you may to try to stay connected, there is a fire and a spark in a gold that is just different than in your jewels. And it's not that we're not excited or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a different feeling. Yeah. I remember them saying that and I was like, I don't get it.
I know.
I feel like I get it now. And so therefore, please don't just assume that your leader needs to do everything for you. You are sparky by yourself.
Sparky by yourself, sparky with a sideline, like do things. Yeah. Wonderful.
So
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You keep going.
I was going to say page 171, he talks about production is not enough.
Yeah.
Leading a productive team is a huge accomplishment. Being productive yourself is a huge accomplishment, but it's not enough. It's not enough to move up to that next level of leadership. He says there's higher levels of leadership than just getting work done effectively and adding to the bottom line.
I love that. Can we just camp there for a second?
Absolutely.
Because that's really important to understand. And I don't know if I have the right words to really develop that completely. But I don't know, maybe you guys have felt this. Do you feel like things are different for you right now where you are versus when you were a silver? Like, do you feel like you have a different vision for what Plexus actually is and vision for the business and what needs to be done? And like, do you feel like you've kind of grown up, almost like there's a song, once I was 7 years old. Like there's like, and it talks about the whole song goes into like, kind of like, I knew these things when I was 7. And then I knew these things when I was 11. And then I knew these things when I was this old. And then I knew, do you feel like you're growing up in Plexus and learning more and becoming more wise in the scope of the business as you go? Do you feel like that? If many more people turn off their cameras, I won't see you nodding heads at all.
But I totally believe in that.
Yeah. And so sometimes when things happen, whether it's leadership issues or whatever, we don't understand what's going on. Like, I don't necessarily always understand what's happening with my diamond upline and in her head and why she's thinking the way that she's thinking, right? You know, a really great example for me for this is Sherry Harvage. Sherry has this brain that I'm like, if I could just like do like an archaeological dig in how your brain works, it just, right? And there are reasons why she's a sapphire. She thinks differently than I do. Now, I think she thinks differently than a lot of people. So we're just like, she just thinks really differently. She really does. But as you grow up in the organization, I'm sure Brenna can say the same thing too. As she's grown up in the organization she's a part of, she has learned to think differently. She's looking at things differently. You have different experiences that really broaden your scope, right? And so, you know, maybe we're in a situation, and like that's happened to me quite a few times where I've gone, wow, as a gold, I would have responded to this totally differently. As a ruby, I would have responded to it differently. But as an emerald, it's a completely different, like it's a non-issue. This is a non-issue, right? And so I'm just going to say, if you look around you and you're like, why are my leaders not doing something different? Like, why are my leaders not, like, maybe they're a horrible leader. I don't know. I'd guess not, because they're on this team and I don't think we have any horrible leaders on this team. But maybe it's because they see things differently than you do where you're at. And so wisdom is the zooming out and being like, what do they see that I don't see? I love when Sherry's like, I just don't think like a diamond. Like, I don't get it because I don't think like a diamond. So help me understand, right? It's that way, right? And your people, your silvers should like probably in their brains, but not quite that formulated. I don't think like a gold, so I don't get it. I don't think like a senior gold, so I don't get it, right? And it's okay. So we can kind of break it down. It is a very interesting and crucial piece to understanding the business, is that sometimes until you get there, it's hard to break down and understand. Anyway.
I think it's a little bit like belief. I mean, and let's just pick belief in the product because it's a straightforward one. But it's like, I believed in the product within a very short time after I started trying the product. And I believed in the product, right? Product's good. And as I saw more people, as I worked with more people, I realized, oh, I could believe in the product a little bit deeper. There's another layer. And as time has gone on and I've learned more, I'm like, oh my goodness, that ingredient's incredible. I can believe in the product way down here. I have no idea how much deeper I could believe in the product. So there's our belief in the product, there's a belief in ourselves, there's a belief in the company. And I believed, right? But I believed here. And as I dig and as I learn and as I grow, I actually don't know how deep that belief could go.
And then you get to a place where you start crying about a stupid ingredient that you're just so touched by. And then it goes over to the belief in the company, because they would bring people in that would understand the depth and why you would need to have this. And then they chose to put the money in to do this, and it changes people's lives. And it's and then all of a sudden it becomes this emotional response where you're just like, I love this so much. And it just seems so stupid to anybody else who's like, you're taking vitamins. Like, could we just talk? Are you going to be okay? And you're like, it's not that simple, right? Like the fact that they've brought the people on that they have that understand, and the whole, and the purity and the whatever, and that like you can pick any of those veins. And if you go that deep, you will have that rooted belief even on one, and it crosses over. Yeah. Hi, Brenna. Good morning. Okay. Where are we going now? Oh, hey, we have half an hour still. It's okay.
We are good. We are good.
Yep. Growing leaders is the most effective way to accomplish the vision. Quickly. There was a time when all of us were just super excited and we were just going to bring in the people. We're like, it doesn't matter, just bring in the people. And it was the leaders that were doing all the sponsoring. And there was not a whole lot of depth. Everybody was going super wide and it was cool. And there was a little bit of duplication, but that wasn't the focus because everyone was just so stinking excited about what we were doing. And the vision was not there that, you know what, if I do a little less and I help these people do a little more, the vision is going to be bigger for the team in general, right? So it's sort of that whole work smarter, not harder, and not to like squelch a passion or anything like that. But if we can lead people well towards that vision, towards that belief, like Sherry was talking about, right? Then they're going to be able to run on their own. Sort of like, would it take me as long to fold my 9-year-old's laundry as it does for him? Could I do it better? Probably. But you know what? It's going to take a lot of work off my shoulders when he can do laundry and fold and put away and whatever. Like that's seeding good behavior, right? Chelsea said, that's what I've realized lately as I've been stuck at gold for almost a year. You are not stuck, my dear. You are in the right place where you are supposed to be. And there will be a light that goes on and all of a sudden you'll be like,
The light is going on. I'm feeling it going on.
feeling the light.
This book actually really helped me with some of those light bulbs, realizing that like going wide is really important, but I'm going to burn out if I don't have, and I'm just going to get discouraged if I don't have people doing this with me.
Yeah.
So realizing that I need to put in the time to discover other people's dreams and then to believe in them and then to help them get to the place where they want to go and cast a vision for what this could be for them, not in a self-seeking way, but in a like helping them also do that for their team and duplicating that. I just started realizing, what am I doing right now that maybe is helping me, but it's not duplicatable for the people on my team. And for me, that was doing 3-way chats. I wasn't doing 3-way chats. I was just recruiting people through personal message, and I wasn't involving my upline because I thought, I know how to do this now. I don't need their help to like recruit someone. I know how to recruit somebody. But it wasn't showing the person that I was recruiting how to recruit. Golf. Because
yeah, that's really good.
Because
Chelsea.
they can't, if they're just looking at me talking to them, then they think, oh, I can't quite do what Chelsea did, because that's, everyone's different, every conversation's different. But if they see, oh, I just put them in 3-way chat and then, the upline does most of the talking, then they're like, oh, that's easy. I don't have to do all the talking. They eventually figure out how to do the talking by watching you talking. But if they don't see you talking with different people, then anyways, that particular light bulb came from reading the Get Over Yourself book. Just do the 3-way. Just believe in the 3-way. Do the 3-way. Just do it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm teachable. I'm coachable. We're doing a 3-way.
I'm coachable. I love that.
I didn't like it. I was like, I don't want to do 3 ways.
I can do it myself.
Do it myself. And that was shooting myself in the foot.
Totally.
Nobody
I get
else
it.
knew how to do. It wasn't duplicatable. So I had to figure out what's not duplicating.
Right.
Yeah.
And had to fix that. That was a little bit humbling. So,
the brilliant part of the way that Plexus is set up is that really you do, like we always say, oh, you learn while you earn. And it's like, oh, isn't that cute? What does that actually mean? And so Chelsea, you were able to build a really good business before you realize that, right? You could go gold or senior gold or whatever with totally level ones. You could go diamond with totally level ones. Who on earth would want to do that? Not me, thank you. So I was in another organization, and the structure was as such that in order for me to hit the first level of leadership, I needed to have 6 personally sponsored ambassadors underneath me, and they had to have X number of volume for the whole team. But to get to the next level of leadership above that, I had to have somebody who was just like me, who had gotten 6 people with X amount of volume in order to reach that next level of leadership. That was darn near impossible. And I never actually reached that because not everybody wanted to do what we were doing. They might have loved the product, that, whatever. But then you look at how Plexus is structured and you go, wow, there are a lot of different ways that you can build a good income through learning, right? Like you can take a while to understand how to create leaders, or you can just keep firing it out there and go super wide. And at some point in time, you will roll the dice and you will get a winner who will get it and they'll do the things, right? Like it is so brilliant because it does not pigeonhole to one strength, to one person's strength. And then they continue to educate us, try to get us to level up to do things like this, like you're talking about, Chelsea, right? But the earning is still available to you. You're not sitting there making $27 a month going, gosh, I really wish I could make this work, right? And then, you don't have to go do parties and haul like hundreds of pounds of things around. And there's all those other things too. But I love the brilliance of all of this.
Just on the bottom of page 173, it talks about people development is the greatest fulfillment for a leader. And he says, when I was in my late 30s, I found myself trying to accomplish a large vision that required more of me than I was capable of giving on my own. The only solution that I could see was to train and develop other people to help carry the load. The work's too big for one person, right? So something wonderful happened. What started as a necessity became the greatest source of fulfillment. And I think many of us have been at the place where we started it for our own health, and it was wonderful. And then we realized, oh, our family's health could be improved. And that was even better. And then it spread from there. And as we are moving into this people development piece, we realize, you know what? Health matters. Health, physical health matters, but financial health really matters. What keeps people awake at night? And so we initially see our own financial health improving from sharing, but the joy of seeing other people's financial health improve is even beyond seeing personal health improved. It's such a integrated piece, because if you have personal health, you have the energy to look at finances. When you have financial health, you have the excitement, the resources to support personal health. So it's just an incredible synergy of growth when he talks about few things in life are better than seeing people reach their potential.
Yeah.
People are like trees. Give them what they need to grow on a continual basis for long enough, and they will grow from the inside out, and they will bear fruit. When you invest in people, they will never be the same again, and neither will you.
I love that. I love that. All right, growing through level 3.
Yes, number 1, be the team member you want on your team. So, what do you want?
And don't be too hard on that team member. Give that team member a little grace.
Be gentle.
We could design like this perfect human and then hold ourselves to an impossible standard, and then that's just burnout right there, right?
And there's two sides. Right at the very end, he says, I will not give up solving a problem or doing a task until it's completed. Or I will arrive early and stay late to set an example for the team. And then you realize, how early? How late? Is that a recipe for burnout for both me and my team?
What am I modeling for them for later?
What am I modeling? I'd really love if Brenna was willing to weigh in on this one.
Mhm.
So yes, this has been, I've got a new position, and it's been I've got staff who work some different hours. So I've got staff that start at 8 and staff that start at 9, staff that end at 4 and staff that end at 5. And it's one of, you show up sort of at the same time with the early crew and you leave with the late crew. And I've only been in this position with staff for 2 months, and you can already see it accumulating of people being like, well, I'll stay late too. And it's like, no, you don't need to. And they're like, but you do, Brenna,
Mhm.
because people do what people see, and
Mhm.
that's what they see you doing. And so the other aha moment that I had yesterday on Friday was I had someone who was trying to lift my load, who was saying, you don't have to do that. We actually have someone else on the team that could do that for you. Let me send it to them and they'll do it. And I was like, no, I'm here. I can do it. And afterwards, I'm like, oh, what a fail, because they were doing exactly what I should have been doing. They were stepping in and they were finding solutions for things. And I was like, wow, I should have said, thank you so much for finding the solution, for stepping up and filling that, and praising them for it. And instead I brushed them off. And so I'm like, wow, now next week I'm going to have to go completely back and say, that was a great idea. We should be doing that instead. And so
Okay.
that is my resolution for this coming week, is when people bring me solutions, to say yes to their solutions. It may take a little bit of working out, but letting them actually come up with them and then implement them.
But I'm actually looking at this from zooming a little bit. The fact that you are actually going to recognize your downfall or your misstep and going to be able to say to them, you're right, this is where we should have been doing, whatever. I was thinking about it. I have a feeling that that is going to be even more impactful than if you would have just stepped out and gone, yeah, that's a great idea. Here you go. Because it's going to show so much more leadership advancement, because you're going to come back to them and be like, I was wrong. You were right. You saw something I didn't. And like, there's just so many more layers to this than it was before. So good on you for maybe not doing the right thing at the beginning, because I think it actually is going to work out in your favor further in the long run.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
That's awesome. Translate personal productivity into leadership. Are other members of the team improving or producing more as a result of your presence? Could we talk about showing up for the woman on your left?
Yeah, this is really key though, but this is where I could do it faster really falls into, is it more important to do it faster? Is it more important to help somebody else learn to do it, or support them in doing it, or help them figure out how to do it a different way? I think we all huge tangle up in that particular piece.
And I don't know if we often think of it this way, because I never really thought about it this way when, I think back to when I was in an accountability chat with 3 other women. I thought about me showing up for them because I didn't want to let them down, but I never thought of the activity that I was doing and the results I was producing were creating stability for what then they would bring in, because I was creating sidelines for them. I was creating sidelines for their new people. So I was adding to the culture and the community. And by what I was doing, it was actually helping to attract their people so they could be like, hey, we've got this amazing community, come and see. And we all have a responsibility to create our section of the community so that somebody else can come in and be like, oh, you're right, it's great here, right? I don't have to create the entire community. I don't have to create the entire vision of everything. That's where that whole showing up for the woman on your left concept broadens further. It's just sort of a bigger thing, right? So you bring in people and they're going to be sidelines to Linda and sidelines to Chelsea and sidelines Diana. And it's just this beautiful, 360-degree picture. It's just nice.
But even just recognizing that your presence makes a difference. And this is one that I have moments where I'm like, I get it, and moments where I don't really. But just that I want to do it with you. And see, you laugh, you know what this is about. Of those who just want to do it with you. It's not that you're showing them, it's not even a teaching moment. It's just being with people as they go through the journey and go through the steps of, they just want to talk to someone about, you know, this is the text chat that they have going with someone. They don't need advice, they don't need wording, they just want to talk it out. And just being there, and the fact that your presence makes a difference.
Absolutely. We kind of talked about the productivity niche before. Everyone has their own strength. Cast the vision continually. I think about what Genevieve was talking about. Again, I'm like, where was that? That she was talking about how, Sherry, help. When was that she was talking about how repeating the vision, or was that when we were talking about that when we were at Cheryl's, that the repetition of the vision is ever someone gonna no, when was that? It wasn't.
That was on our Saturday morning 5 levels.
I'm thinking
And
of
it
another
was,
one.
and it was, you're down, you know, people that you work with should be able to say your vision. When you hear their words coming, when you hear your words coming from them, you know you've actually repeated the vision.
Yeah.
And I actually love this, the new concept that Jessica was talking about in a video that she did recently on the quarter that we're in, about doing things for other people to carry that vision, but providing a structure. And that Plexus this quarter for sprints has provided us with an incredible duplication bonus, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which that's another story, but just an incredible way to continually cast that vision.
Totally.
And on the team building, I love when he says, do not penalize risk taking. Praise people's efforts, help them learn, reward success. Meet with your team daily, or at least weekly, to give feedback on performance. Like daily. Daily? Really? Daily?
Well, but you think about it, like, okay, so Sherry, how many times do you and Amy and Linda and Doris and Cheryl, and like, how many times do you guys touch base in a day? Like, welcome to the conversation that is Plexus. When you find your people, sometimes it's just all day long conversation. Thank you.
It makes a difference on your... Thanks, Chelsea. It makes a difference on where your head is at, because when you haven't talked to those people for 2 or 3 days because life has gone insane, it's your own, what have I been doing? Has my life been insane and I've been like talking to potentials and signing up people and helping somebody rank up? Or has my life been insane and kids and cleaning and school and spouse and, oh, back on track. But you need more than just one person. And this is those support chats that Chelsea was talking about. Like, it's more than just one person and connecting to community. Because if there's only one person and one person is on a loop over here and you're checking and you're checking and you get on your own loop, there's not the draw again. And I love that you got the picture of the hands moving. So it's to figure out more. You're muted, honey.
I'm muted.
But thanks for letting me.
Oh!
Oh.
Sorry.
I think that is where the sideline, the working together support comes in. And I think that's where, as we're learning leadership, we have to learn teamwork. We have to learn that process of working with somebody else, sharing ideas, moving forward. Yes, Janelle.
I'm going to insert, we don't have to, but if we want peace in our businesses, we will. That's where we'll find it. We don't have to learn teamwork. We could grind it out and do it on our own and be miserable and stressed and broken and overwhelmed and all of those things. But if you want to be successful in in all areas of your life, like mental health, not burning out, then yes, you will. You want to do that.
And I think if you're leading a team and the team does not see you modeling teamwork, the struggle is real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. I completely agree with you.
There's seasons and times where everybody needs to shift their involvement.
Mhm.
And that's giving yourself the grace, like Chelsea to say, to recognize that I can't be everything to everyone, and step back a bit and figure out which is the most important for me at this time, and to shift and rotate through that and giving other people that opportunity as well. Linda, that was not for your ears. You're just always here, okay? Just so we're clear.
And we love it.
Sometimes I wonder, am I always here because I have no life? Or am I here because I want to learn?
You're here because you're dedicated, committed, and consistent.
Okay.
I was going to say she's here because she finds a lot of value to this place that we're in, and she just can't stop not being here, and she just gets it.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Oh dear.
So he goes on, we're getting close to the end of our time. So he goes on through building your team and using momentum, but he talks about the Pareto principle. So who here is familiar with the Pareto principle? Is everyone? No? Okay. So the Pareto principle, it says, if you want your productivity to be at the highest possible level, work according to the 80-20 rule. And that's basically the Pareto principle. It's first focus on your overall efforts, set aside a block of time, make a list of your responsibilities, then put them in order. And it's that prioritization that makes the Pareto principle actually work. Because he says, put them in order according to the impact they make for the good of your organization. You need to make sure that the lion's share of your time and effort is focused on the areas at the top of the list. And then practice the 80-20 rule on a daily basis. Or I would suggest get a weekly planner and make sure that in your week, it's an 80-20 goal. Because we all know that we have a day, I have a day, I have to go to Swift Current. That is not an 80-20 day. It's just not. It's not like a 10-minute run to the store for something. It's 100% on one area of my life in all likelihood. 90% if I can manage to top in a few little messages as I go. So depending on whether you're a person that daily works or weekly works, but do one of them and focus on the 80% of your time. Focus 80% of your time on the top 20% of your list. But remember to get all the things that you want to make those priorities at the top of the list. So on a regular basis, review the team's priorities. Make sure 80% of the team effort is focused on the top 20% in terms of importance. And that might mean that Plexus is not the top 20% for some of your team members. And so understanding and knowing and meeting them where they are is a huge part of being the leader that that person needs.
Yeah.
Amy, I'd love to hear what you're saying, but you're muted.
So number 10 is the real kicker. Don't neglect level 2. And on the little embarrassing side, I'm like, number 2, what's number 2? Oh, it didn't say number 2. It said level 2. Oops.
That's funny. And I think I think the reason that this book is such like I feel like it's an annual book. I feel like we need to go through it like at least every year because it's such a good refresher. We need to focus on level 1 and 2 because whoever you develop right now and you're going to keep on developing and that like it's cyclical. You will always go back to level 1 with people. You will always like it doesn't matter how much more you're growing personally, you will always be at a level 1 or level 2 with other people. The other thing that I wanted to just point out really quick that's really similar to that number 8 with the 80-20 principle is as your leadership grows in this particular business, it might be tempting, especially in seasons of momentum, to spend most of your time, like your 80%, with your leaders who are doing the things. As an emerald, I was told, he's like the business coach I was chatting with, who was like, yeah, emeralds are kind of like in this weird place where you still need to spend like 60 or 70% of your time on your own business and not just leading your team. And that's sort of like right? So yes, you kind of need like almost like 120% time, not 100%. You need a little bit more, right? So don't think that when you hit a jewel level, it's going to change as far as what you are personally responsible for. Because if you want to continue to grow, you still need to keep doing your own personal business and whatever that looks like. And you still need to be there for your team. But if you start to sow into your leaders and grow leaders, this will help you when you still need to be seeding 60% of your time into personal sponsoring, level 1 growth and development, like all of those things, grow leaders. So like Chelsea was saying, not doing it all yourself. We still only have 24 hours in a day. And this is not like Alex said, if you're working 40 hours a week, you've missed it. But anyway, so level 4 not next week, but in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Level 4.
Thank you all for being here. That's awesome. Amy, I feel like I need to get you a bell. So every time you want to talk, you're just going to ring. Ding.
I appreciate you wanting to get me a bell.
You're welcome. Just wait.
I'd like to know which word clicked in so that you could hear me.
Actually, you must have like cleared your throat or made like other sounds because you like.
So the I part of it was really soft, but by the time you got to I'd, the D part came stronger. Hearable.
So you just need to talk slower.
I think.
Yeah.
The
Can I just say though, you're not sounding like a chipmunk. You remember when that used to happen? Who was here for the chipmunks? Or the squirrels? Because like that was silly. Chelsea, you don't remember the
Chelsea?
squirrel?
What are you talking about?
It was so funny.
I think we could stop the recording before we talk about chipmunks.